the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. This morning we continue our conversations, and we have in studio with us Assemblyman Trevor James, who is also the Secretary for Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development. This morning we are talking about all the works that you have been seeing happening around you this morning. Good morning again and welcome.
Good morning, Shenell. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Sacra, Mount Grace. It's a pleasure to be on Tobago Updates as usual.
All right. And even as you greet the people of Tobago, we're seeing stuff happening. We're seeing, even when you drive down on the highway now, you see that resurfacing is being done for a lot of the potholes that I myself had to dodge on several occasions. So now, we have a bit of a smoother road. Tell us about some of the resurfacing projects that are happening.
We at the division, we continue to get a lot of reports about these potholes. And I want to give the public the assurance that we are coming. We might be late. We have resource constraints. But one thing is sure, that we are in fact coming. And I think we need to allay the fears of the public when it comes to the division responding to resurface requests and all the requests that we have, understanding that we are working in very difficult circumstances, staff that is, and that we are working in severe resource constraints, and we are in fact doing what we've set out to do from day one, which is to get every department in the division working as optimally as possible.
Right, and even as you talk about that, you now have that the workshop where there are a number of projects that they are engaged in at this time, where they are maintaining some of the infrastructure around some of those public buildings. Talk to us about that project.
Well, the URP is under good leadership now. I think they require little supervision. The team there, all the various sections there seem to be working optimally, and we are thankful for that. We continue to assist the Ministry Division of Education, their school readiness program, and preparing benches and so on for the primary schools. We've been doing that over the last two years. We continue to assist on requests members of the public who need assistance, whether it be building or whatever else, and we continue to assign staff to do that. We build walls, we do minor repair to houses, we build entire houses. We are in fact trying to maximize the benefit of the resources, the human resource capital that we have. And I think the public is seeing a URP that's functioning in agriculture in Roxborough. For example, we continue to produce more and more food up there. And so we are now seeing the benefit of the structural changes that we have made, and hopefully we'll continue to do that throughout next year as well.
All right, and the last time you were here, we were talking about that connector road, and there was a projected opening of a little at the end of August, and we are approaching that timeline. What are the timelines? Are they still the same, or has the project gone? Would be the project be going on for a bit longer than predicted?
Well, it's no secret now. The project has been delayed. There are legal issues that we are attending to. We are hopeful for resolution in the shortest time. Some of these issues require or should have required government intervention that we haven't gotten. We have been in the court for this last issue, which continue to delay. The court has given us a date for next year, and we feel strongly that as part of the state of Trinidad and Tobago, for a state project, that the court ought to have considered expediting the matter and having the matter come before the court, if that is where it was supposed to go, in a much shorter time. The court, in its wisdom, has seen otherwise. And I continue to make the point, Shenell, that in this union that we have, Tobago, the Tobago House of Assembly, the people of Tobago are second-class citizens. And Tobagonians have to come to terms with the representation that we have in the parliament. Tobagonians have to come to terms with whether we must continue to go to the parliament every 40 years and ask for a change in legislation. Because the real issue here is an autonomy issue. We are going to courts in Trinidad who have their own priority, and the priority of Tobago is not being taken into account. And surely with this matter should have been expedited through the courts.
Right, and is it that this matter did not meet the criteria for you to apply for an expedited hearing?
Oh, we did apply, or lawyers did apply for an expedited hearing.
And
the hearing we got is January next year.
Okay.
So, I think not to get into a conspiracy theorist mindset, but I think we in Tobago have to understand that we need to build a jurisdiction under a different arrangement than we currently have. And if we don't do that, we are going to continue to be treated as a subject of Trinidad.
Okay. And when it comes to some of the road projects that's currently happening, we see that there's still that project happening in Canby there, right around the gas station. You also had a very tight deadline or schedule for when you predicted that project would be concluded. You said before school opens because of the type of traffic congestion that happens on that corner. Do you think that project is currently, meeting the time constraints?
Well, so far, from what I've seen, we are on schedule. We had to design the thing properly, and that took us a little while. We had to understand what the methodology, construction methodology we want to use. And so the task of the development team is to complete the road before school reopens. And I think later this week we would assess whether overtime is required, whether night work is required in order to meet the deadline. But we are attempting to bring some more of the benefits of real project management in the way we execute the projects. And this is one of the tests that we have tried, and we are now trying again to ensure that the staff and the team, the whole team, is working together to meet the goals that we set. And I for now, I'm confident. We'll look at the schedule again on the end of the week, and we'll see where we are.
And what are some of the other road projects that are happening that we may not be seeing, but it's definitely happening still?
Well, listen, there's no doubt that we have challenges. We continue to do the best we can. We have a team now in Grand Bay Gully. It's a project up there that has been outstanding for a while. We've finished Idlewild. We're looking over a design for a solution at Cove and the bank, the Citizens Bank, and so on. We are looking at a solution for the corner of Wilson Road and Gardenside Street and Dutch Fort. And so once we get the design acceptable, those are projects that we would execute. There are, in fact, plans to go on a massive resurfacing program maybe closer to the end of the year. We are in the process now of procuring significant equipment for the division, and we continue to use the rent and lease program for now. And I want to say that we inherited the rent and lease program. It has worked. It continues to work for the division and for the people of Tobago. We spend significant resources on rental equipment. Since 2020, on average, the expenditure in rent and lease is $20 million per annum. And given the scarcity of resources that we have, this is something we have been looking at, and we will given some funds from the Division of Finance, and we trying to put a plan in place as to how we would improve our service delivery and make it more cost effective to the people. And so we are in fact in the process of procuring some equipment, and we hope, when given the lead time and so on, that hopefully certainly by January next year, in the start of the dry season, we are going to see a much more concerted effort being placed on resurfacing and drainage construction and so on.
Okay. And even with procuring those new tools as well as the new vehicles, I'm guessing there's the whole maintenance component to that. Because even if you are doing the rental now, if you own the vehicles and they're not being properly maintained, then you find yourself in a very similar situation in terms of the type of resources that you have to expend to get them again. So is there a proper
Shenell,
maintenance strategy in place when you get all these new vehicles and equipment to make sure that they are maintained over time?
We've been hoping to put a whole ERP system in the division. Vehicle fleet maintenance is one of the major challenges, I think, not in the THA, but across the country. I think we have as a workforce not understood the cost of maintenance, and staff just don't take care of the vehicles. We have allowed large numbers of vehicles to just go by the wayside because of either bad driving, bad maintenance plans. Most of us in Tobago have vehicles for 10, 15 years. We buy second-hand vehicles and keep them for 10 years. And we have trained staff, and I'm always appealing to the staff to get a sense of pride in the work that we do, to develop a more Tobago conscious approach to what we do, and understand that every dollar we save as a group, every dollar we save is a dollar we can expend on solving a problem elsewhere. We have to rise above this selfish desire for personal aggrandizement. We want to come to work and do nothing and get paid. We want to come to work and work for an hour, we want to leave the vehicles down for a long time, and so nothing gets done, so somebody who is renting a vehicle could get some money. We have to get to the place where we put Tobago first, where we do everything we can to minimize the expenditure that THA has to take on, so that we can meet the requirements of a greater area of the public than we have been doing.
Right. And I want to shift gears a bit to what has been happening in the Scarborough area. You came up with your plan for Scarborough, and where are we with that?
Shenell, we went out as required in a procurement process to acquire a PPP partner for Scarborough. Along the process, we negotiated with two proponents who were both willing to fund the project in total and required a sovereign guarantee from the state of Trinidad and Tobago. I want to repeat that. We negotiated after the procurement process with two proponents, both of whom willing to finance the entire development, and both of whom the only hindrance to that is that they required the government of Trinidad and Tobago to give a sovereign guarantee, meaning that they wanted to ensure that the state, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, was in agreement with the development. As you know, we sent the development plans, the feasibility study and stuff to several ministers, including the Prime Minister. We we wrote to the Prime Minister, I think it was June 4th, informing of the need for a sovereign guarantee from the state. If I'm not mistaken, to date we have had no response.
Okay.
And so we are where we are, and we will prosecute this further, of course, in time. But for now, we are waiting the response. We are waiting the response from the Prime Minister, son of the soil, and when we get that, if we don't, then we would begin to make some more noise. But we have done what we can do. We have done the feasibility study. The feasibility study says to us that the project is viable. We've went out in a procurement process. We've secured, negotiated, had letters of intent with 2 proponents, international proponents, who are willing to finance and build the project. And all we require from the state of Trinidad and Tobago is a sovereign guarantee.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break right here, and we'll be back as we continue this conversation. I will see you soon. Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. We continue our conversation here with Secretary James this morning, and we are talking about all the infrastructural development that you are seeing happening on the roadways and in other areas in Tobago. This morning, we touched a lot on what's happening on the roads. We talked a bit about that roundabout, but we still see work happening there. Tell us about what's still happening down there.
Well, the project is not finished. The division still has some work to do. The division apart from the contractor. We've had reports from comments online. I've had reports from comments online from people who seem to be having some confusion at the roundabout, at Chevron roundabout, at that new roundabout that we built. And so we have been trying to collate what the concerns are, but I think people just have to follow normal driving at a roundabout, and all will be well. But there are some old lines which we have to block off, and our team will be charged with doing that. There is a plan, of course, to put 2 crossings, one before and one after the roundabout. So we have decided on a specific location, but one will go closer to the eastern boundary of the division of food production, and one will go some distance down the road between the roundabout and that tire shop there.
Right.
We'll probably try to use that piece of road that we have cordoned off in that location with the barrels now, to see whether we can put a lay-by as well for a pickup drop-off for persons who are going to food production, licensing office, maybe Chevron Plaza as well. We plan to move the bus shed from where it is opposite the entrance to the food production division and put it further north. So that crossing that is there now will move further north with the bus shed.
Okay.
So that way we don't have vehicles stopping close to the exit or the entry of the roundabout and possibly causing traffic. So those are some of the changes that would come. The division will take on, because that's not part of the project. We still seem to be seeing reports of persons turning right. If you're heading east along the Claude Noel and turning right into Cano Bay, into Cove, that we want to prohibit, and we would continue to assess whether a hard barricade is required at that corner for now.
So is it advised that if they are going to Cove, that they take that route from inside by the roundabout, that new street, and go into?
That's correct. If you're coming from the west and you want to get into Cove, the drive is to take the third exit at the roundabout and head along Pamela Nicholson Drive Boulevard and up Dr. Winston Murray Boulevard into Cove. That's the drive we have determined to be the best and most effective route. If you're coming out of Cove and you wish to turn left, we suggest you do the opposite of going down Dr. Winston Murray Boulevard, going around that roundabout, and taking the Pamela Nicholson Boulevard and then turning left along Milford Road.
Okay.
So that would it ease up would minimize the risk of an accident taking place there at that corner.
Right.
If you
And
go to the bank,
okay.
because we still see, we still see a lot of persons heading west and turning into the bank. That has been prohibited for the last 2 years, well, a year and a half at least. And we still see people doing that. And we want to say, listen, it is the only after a major accident occurs that people usually will change. But in this case, let's please, we have a no right turn sign there for more than a year. The drive now is that you should go down to the roundabout and come back up. I mean, we travel all over the world, Shenell, and we drive for 2 miles to make a left turn, and we have no problem with it. You know, this is a significantly short drive for the safety of the driving and traveling public, and we want to encourage that. If you're coming out of the bank, then you cannot turn right.
Right. And so will there be an education campaign launched by the division in order to kind of direct persons, whether it be via video, just to show them the route, what to do and what not to do?
We're considering doing a video, and we will see how that goes. But I think, yes, probably some advert is required to get it entrenched in the mind and all of that. So we are considering doing a video now. But in the meantime, we've put that information out, and we will continue to do so every opportunity we get to remind the public of the changes that we have instituted from First Citizens Bank down to the James Bigart roundabout.
And crime has been a huge issue on the island of recent. How has it impacted you, even as you're doing these development projects there? Has been something going around a bit in the media about theft happening on a lot of these work sites. Have you experienced any of this?
At some of our sites, we've had some minor theft, but in terms of the Tobago security issues, I don't think that's a significant thing. The Chief Secretary had a press conference, as you know, and spoke to certain support measures which the government in Tobago has had to give to the security services providers in Tobago, and we think that's significant. That we've seen some criticism about our suggestion, our offer maybe to assist the Coast Guard with pirogues and so on, because that is what we could afford. And we seem to forget, Griffith and Hines and so on seem to forget that the Coast Guard in Tobago has been using a pirogue for years. I mean, today the pirogue might be still turned down at the Coast Guard base. We seem to forget that. We are at a place in Tobago where we have maybe completed the transference of a Trinidad culture onto Tobago, and that culture transference has been happening for the last 20 years. We are now reaping the not the benefit, but the results of trying to assimilate Tobago into Trinidad. That is what is happening, and in Tobago we have to understand that we need jurisdictional control and legislative separation from Trinidad. Our culture is different, our economy is different, and an increase in murder rate and crime rate in Tobago can destroy the future of Tobago. In Grenada, the murder rate, the murder is 17, I think, last year in 2023. In Barbados is less than that. And we in Tobago, with a smaller population, up to 19. And so as a government in Tobago, although this is a sixth schedule item, we have to find a way to support the security services. We have had to purchase vehicles for the army, and it's another thing, Shenell. The Ministry of National Security has a bigger budget than the Tobago House of Assembly. The development budget for the Ministry of National Security last year into this year is above $300 million. And that's on average maybe about 260 for the ministry. Not maintenance, for the ministry development budget. Zero of that has been spent in Tobago. The THA has had to help repair buildings for the ministry. We have had to repair buildings in Signal Hill, in Scarborough, fire station. We have to buy vehicles. We have to provide housing for senior police officers coming to Tobago. When we have a smaller budget, and we are doing in the government in Tobago as much as we can, even without the responsibility, to ensure that the security services on the island can function to help reduce this thing. This spate, and this is something that we have to consider. We have to ask ourselves, since the increase in crime is so evident, who has been, let me say that another way. We've had large conglomerates putting out their statements, making $11 billion in profit in a depressed Trinidad and Tobago, while this crime wave has increased. So some groups of people are making a killing in Trinidad and Tobago, while the news is focusing on increasing crime. And I suspect that there is a strategic link to that somewhere. And we have to position Tobago. This is why the representation we have in the parliament is so critical, because we have to find a way to position Tobago where we have control of the things that affect our livelihood. I was, when Heinz made the comment and so on, I had to go and look at some of the what's going on in different countries. Grenada has 4 vessels. Barbados has 4 vessels. St. Vincent has 4 vessels. The Coast Guard in Barbados is 1,000 strong. In Grenada is 70 strong. That is being controlled by the police. And in St. Vincent, in Tobago, we have 1 platoon with no vehicle, no boat. We have one, what's the group for the army now? Not the platoon. We have 1 unit in Signal Hill that is supposed to man the whole of Tobago with nothing. The Ministry of National Security has forgotten Tobago, and we continue to sit silent as Tobagonians while these ministries in Trinidad that are still controlled under the 6th schedule do nothing. We have a situation where licensed officers are coming to Tobago looking for stolen vehicles. Not stolen vehicles from Tobago, stolen vehicles from Trinidad that could only come through the port in Port of Spain. But they wait for them to come to Tobago and then to come here to look for them. Isn't that craziness? How could we have a system like that? And we just absolutely need to ensure that we are putting people in the parliament who are not sympathetic to the PNM position of creating an imperialistic Trinidad over Tobago. And we have to ensure that we are putting people who can articulate a position that is Tobago-centric and who could move the conversation about autonomy in Tobago forward. We cannot just send anybody to the parliament anymore. And the Tobagonians have to come to terms with that. This is not about race. This is about Tobago ensuring that we are taking the steps to protect this wonderful island that we have. And if we don't, crap will smoke our collective pipe. Because 5 bandits from Trinidad coming from Toco and Manzanilla by boat can wreak havoc in Tobago. 5 bandits.
And even in a conversation I had with the former Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, he indicated that during his time in office, he did buy those boats that was needed, but they are now in storage. So I'm not sure why that is. But even as we wrap up the conversation this morning, what can we look forward to from the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development?
From the division, I think we are going to put out. We have been quietly pursuing our SMART program, Show Me a Road. I think it was misconceptualized to almost look as though it was a pothole identification thing, but it is in fact, the program was in fact designed to open out roads that have been covered over with bush for a number of years, and access to houses and so on around the hills. We've been doing that, and I think we're going to put out a video on that in the month of September to show what we've been doing. But we'll continue to do that to bring relief to the public and to ensure in times of real emergency that emergency vehicles can get to our people wherever they are. We will continue to do as much patching as we can do. We in fiscal 2025, one of our biggest projects will be us attempting to alleviate the flooding that is in Canaan, Bonaccord, lowlands. So now we are looking at what are the drainage systems that are required, and the staff at the engineering unit are going to come up with a design to see what we can do with the little resources that we have. So that would probably be one of the big project for fiscal 24-25, trying to see how we can alleviate the flooding in Milford Court, Canaan. There is flooding as well from a drain that was terminated under the last administration between Milford Road and Storby Local Road, in the vicinity of 4 roads in that area over there. And we've been looking at that to see what is the design solution. And we are thinking of ponding it in some location before bringing it out and across the main road, Milford Road, into the swamp. So that would be hopefully our big deliverable. We have in fact come up with a design of a road network in and out of Scarborough. We will also bring that to the public shortly, and hopefully we are in the process of trying to get grant funding to do the designs for it and so on. So we have exciting times in the new year, and I want people in Tobago to understand that there is a need for a balance in the development and maintenance programs that we have. We simply cannot spend the entire budget on maintaining what we have, otherwise the island will not develop. We need to create employment, and the infrastructure has to be designed to create employment, to ensure that people can come into this space and employ others. So the road at Cove and all of that is meant to do that. If we can finally get Cove to be built out and all that massive land acreage down there that's been left there for 20 years, we can get factories in there and so on. That is what we are trying to do. When we build networks, we open to see the economic benefit of that on the employment statistics, and we will continue to do that. We also have completed the design for licensing office to move to Goldsboro. We will see how that goes in terms of the procurement as well. That should also come in fiscal 24-25.
Right. Thank you so much, and we look forward to all those developments happening on the island. Again, thank you for joining us this morning. Guys, we want to thank you so much for staying with us this morning. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, have a great day. See you soon.
Rise.